Materials of Music 3, this is your first exercise from the chapter about secondary dominants to 5. Secondary dominants that lead to 5 or that tonicize a 5 chord in a given key. So this is your first chromatic chord. What do we have here? This is workbook exercise 20.1, section 1. So open up your workbooks. This video is not a substitute for reading the required pages in the textbook. You need to do that first. If you don't do that, you'll have gaps and holes in your understanding. Read the text, listen to the examples. Here's the first workbook exercise. In C major, 5 of 5 is being requested, and the chord given as an example is a D major triad. Why? Because D major is the dominant of G major. G major, in turn, is the dominant of the key of C. In the first example, we're in D major. The exercise asks you to spell a 5-7 of 5. How do you go about it? Notice that the exercise only wants you to spell one chord. 5-7/5 is read 5-7 of 5. That's one chord only. But to do this well, I recommend that you write an additional chord that's not being asked here to make sure your spelling is accurate. So we're going to write the goal chord, the chord to which this chord leads. What is that chord? So in D major, 5-7 of 5 is going to go to 5. So I'm going to write a 5 chord in D. What's a 5 chord in D? A major. That's a 5 chord in D. A, C sharp, E. So now I need a 5-7 of that chord. One way you can go about it is to pretend that you are now temporarily in the key of A major. And in the key of A major, you're simply looking for the dominant 7th. What would the dominant 7th be in A major? It would be a chord built on E, right? If A is my temporary tonic, E is my temporary dominant. So I'm going to build a chord, a 7th chord, a root position 7th chord on E. Here's E and G, B and D. Now listen to this chord. Is this the correct chord we're looking for? No, it's not. It has the wrong quality. It is not a dominant 7th quality chord. It's missing one accidental. What is that accidental? Well, if you were in class, you know that for the foreseeable future, that accidental will always be Phi, or sharp 4 in the home key of D. Right? So from G, you're going to go to G sharp is the answer. But another, perhaps more reliable way to go about this, folks, is to simply know how to build a major minor 7th chord, i.e. a dominant 7th chord on any note. So this note is E, and we need to make this from what it is currently, which is a minor minor 7th chord, to a major minor 7th chord, meaning this triad, first of all, needs to be major in quality. So not E, G, B, E, G, sorry. But rather E, G sharp, B. So I'm going to add a sharp to the G. And that is the correct answer. You can scribble over the extra chord or erase it if you'd like, but the answer to this question is E7 is the chord that we needed here. In fact, I can even add a chord symbol to remind you that's the chord I built here. Okay? Now, here's another example. This one is in minor. So in F minor, we're being asked to write a 5-6-5 of 5. Again, the process should be, what is my 5 chord to begin with? So what is a dominant in the key of F minor, excuse me, is C major triad. C, oopsie, one note too many. And what's wrong with this chord? Listen to it. Is that major in quality? The answer is no, it is not. It needs an E natural. That doesn't have to do anything with secondary chords. That is simply raise 7 in minor to make it a leading tone. So that's our goal. That's not the requested chord. The requested chord is 5, 6, 5 of that chord. So what is now the dominant, not of F, but of C, right? C is our dominant. So the dominant of C is a chord built on G. Let's build it first on G in root position, and then as a last step we'll invert it to a 6-5 position, okay? So I'm going to take that G, maybe write it down an octave, and I'm going to build a root position 7th chord that has the quality of major minor 7th chord, or dominant 7th chord, right? Major triad, minor 7th. So generic 3rd, 5th, and 7th. Right? There are 2 problems here, or 2 accidentals required. Listen to that chord. Right? It needs to be major minor 7th. Right now it has G, B flat, D flat, and F. Why the flats? Look at the key signature, right? So let's make it first into a major triad. What's going to do that? B flat needs to become B natural, meaning we're raising the original fa to fi. But in minor, there are 2 accidentals required on secondary dominants to 5. This is one accidental. You will always have another one. What is the other one? Well, again, listen to the chord. Still not dominant 7th in quality. That's because the D is flat. That's the original lay in the original key. It needs to become La. It needs to be raised so we have a dominant 7th quality. So from D flat to D natural. Now let's listen to the chord again. Now that sounds like a G7 to me. That's the chord I'm looking for. We're almost done, except we need to invert this chord to 5-6-5 position. So instead of root position on G, I'm going to erase that G and put it on top of the F over here. And that is your final answer. Again, the exercise does not require to write down this C chord, but I recommend that you do that so you know the context. So the answer is B natural D F G, which is a G7 chord, by the way. Okay. I think that should help you get started here. The next example is in B flat major, 5-6 of 5. Follow the same procedure. Write a dominant in B flat, then write the dominant of the dominant in root position. Make sure it's a major triad. It won't be initially until you add an accidental. And then invert to first inversion, because you're asked for a 5-6 of 5. Make sense? Keep going. Write me an email if you need help.